Thank you, Miss Katniss. According to Joy, your daily routine consists of sleeping and grooming. Sleeping and grooming. Big, pretty long tail. That's one thing that I first noticed about you, Katniss, was how amazingly beautiful and elongated that tail is. Hey, everyone. Happy Thursday. Say hello to Miss Katniss here. You guys remember Katniss? We introduced her the other week after she came to us all the way from Hawaii. Miss Katniss was found as a stray, and in Hawaii, hybrids are actually illegal. So fortunately, Miss Katniss made it to the mainland, has no chance of being euthanized, obviously, here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. And we are happy to be able to provide her a Wild at Heart life. I see you dozing off right now, Miss Katniss. Hey, everyone. Tuning in from our on-site hospital here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Miss Katniss has been rooming with Joy, our clinic coordinator. Is that correct, Joy?
Hospital manager.
Hospital manager. Thank you for correcting me. You and Katniss have been having a rather harmonious relationship. I know that oftentimes some of our residents get to have a space here in the hospital and can climb and run all over the place. What has Katniss been like in here?
She's pretty mellow. She sleeps a lot of the time, but she definitely wants you to pay attention to her instead of work.
Okay, so she, similar to the office cats then, wanting to demand their attention be taken priority over work priorities. And what a great place here at the Wildcat Sanctuary where I, as an employee, get to prioritize in my day to give cats love. That's about as cool as it gets, Miss Katniss. And if you guys didn't hear Joy, she was just saying that Katniss is rather calm, and we have had, even Mr. Maui, for example, if you guys remember Maui the snow Bengal, he notoriously would find just about every nook and cranny to climb into in our hospital. So it looks like Miss Katniss just like sitting right next to Joy. Oh, that's a good cat loaf. And Katniss, this is right where I found you yesterday, sitting next to Joy, and here I come in today, right where I left you, sitting next to Joy. And I'm up here in our on-site hospital here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. I wanted to check in with Katniss, and then I'm going to end the live post and run outside to our quarantine area, and we're going to check in on Bobcat Bogart, who is also one of our most recent rescues. But while Miss Katniss is sleeping, I'm just going to look at some comments so I can say hello to everyone. Hey Sherry, thanks for joining us. Good afternoon. Christy Lady says Katniss. That's Katniss indeed. Alley Cat is asking what type of breed she is. Katniss is a Bengal cat, which is why, part of the reason why she came here to the Wildcat Sanctuary. Bengal cat is a hybrid between an Asian leopard cat and a domestic cat. And Miss Katniss was found as a stray in Hawaii, and hybrids are actually illegal in Hawaii. They're illegal in many states across the United States. It's kind of a patchwork that makes it up. But in the state of Hawaii, Katniss was illegal. And so out of fear of her being euthanized, a rescue group reached out to us here on the mainland and were able to send Katniss to us. She was actually transported by one of their staff members, and they actually drove her up from the airport. And it was really, really great and kind of them. And we're just so happy that they got this girl to us so she can do exactly what you see here, have not a care in the world and know nothing but love and compassion. I'll look through some more comments here. It's hard to be a kitty, says Elizabeth. I agree. She is very pretty. Erica says, I could use a nap like Katniss. I second that. Richter saying, love, she's so beautiful. You are, Miss Katniss. You are. And I think you are the perfect companion for Joy to have in the hospital. And so right now, Miss Katniss, as you can see, is living in our hospital, and that is purposeful. You guys might remember that Katniss is FIV positive, and she also is cat aggressive. And the most common way that FIV is transmitted in between cats is through biting. And so Miss Katniss, being a cat-aggressive cat, gets the private suite treatment here at TWS. So here she is in the hospital for now. Obviously, we have the incoming animal care center, which is going to have all types of office space for cats like Katniss to enjoy the love of people, because obviously, according to Joy, she is very loving and wanting to have people around. So we'll make sure that she gets that and gets to take advantage of her social side. But you're not the only cat to have the private suite treatment here at the Wildcat Sanctuary, Katniss. And you tell me this, Katniss, why is it always the female cats who want it their way? We have a couple female bobcats who have been a little stubborn about wanting to be friends with some of our male bobcats, but that's just life, says Katniss. All right, pretty lady. Like I said, this is part 1 of the live post. I'm going to wrap things up here in just a moment and go buzz out to our quarantine area to see if we can check in with Bobcat Bogart to see how he's doing. So Miss Katniss, I apologize for speaking so loud as you're trying to nap. But hey, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you in just a moment. Don't go far. We'll be bringing you more cats here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Bye, pretty lady. Oh,
bless you.
That's the good stuff, isn't it?
Can you rub on it?
He says peacock feather. What is that? Catnip? Scents? You got it all, Bogart, don't you, pretty boy? Hey everyone, we are back again for another live post here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. I told you we'd be zipping right out to our quarantine area to hang out with Mr. Bogart the Bobcat. Mr. Bogue came to TWS. That would have been about 3 weeks ago. You guys have learned his story. And I know that so many of you have already stepped up to support Mr. Bogart as a sponsor parent. I just heard the sponsorship report, and we actually need a few more sponsors for Mr. Bogart. So if anybody is out there is wanting to sponsor a medium cat like Mr. Bogart, he certainly would appreciate your love. Wouldn't you, Mr. Bogue? And I'm going to talk a little bit about how Bogart's day went today, because as a matter of fact, Mr. Bogart had the first stage of a play date. Isn't that right, Mr. Bogart? Hey, pretty Bogart, says Mary Beth. You hear that, Mr. Bogart? You are pretty. Reverend John Nugent is asking, isn't he a dude? I apologize if I misspoke. John Bogart is a male bobcat. And Mr. Bogart, oh, you're going to get the feather? We have Caretaker Elyse, who's generously taking some time out of her day to give Mr. Bogart some feather toy enrichment. We've actually also seen Anastasia, the cougar, who's actually just right across the way here in quarantine, have some fun with that feather toy as well. Elise, that's been a cool video that you've shared with us in photos. Oh, get it. So Mr. Bogart had a play date today, and this wasn't a full-on play date. This was like I said, kind of a stage 1 play date. So Bogart got to meet Miss Brianna, and so Brianna the Bobcat, we mentioned during Bogart's intake exam that we maybe had a Cupid's arrow ready to fling and have it land on Bobcat Bogart and Brianna, hoping that they would maybe form a companionship or just a bond with one another. And right now we're in the beginnings of figuring that out. And so how we're doing that is, you can see Bogart here in the back half of the habitat. Here's Miss Brianna. Elise dropped off some scents on her way back. So Brianna is having a blast with a tube here. And so Brianna, she's just going to come tell me who's boss, and that's you, Brianna. And so Brianna is up here in the first portion of the habitat, and so they have this shared wall here where they're able to come along, rub with each other, exchange each other's scent, get a feel for each other's personality, and we also do things like you've seen before in our mergers, is we add extra enrichment, and that's just to kind of diffuse the energy of the situation and have the cats focus on something besides the other cat that they're meeting. It just really helps with that introductory period, and our caretakers have truly devised an excellent way of making sure that our merging process is safe for the cats, most importantly. What do you think, Bogart? And Elyse, I'm going to come over and ask you. Now, Bogart and Brianna have had 1 or 2 play dates so far. What is your opinion of how these two have been doing?
So far, they've been doing really well. We're watching right now, as you can see, with the shared wall. So that's the first stage, is watching what's going on there, how they're interacting. Actually, today there was some really good interaction with Brianna kind of presented, which means she kind of gave him her butt.
Oh,
and
okay.
Bogart was chirping at her and talking, and he was rolling around and showing his belly, and he was getting very excited to see the pretty lady right here next to him.
That's good stuff.
And Brianna was enjoying all the enrichment, so she was a little bit more into the enrichment, but she did give a lot of good sounds. So that's what we were looking for first, that there wasn't aggressive sounds that these
Look at this
so
ham. You don't
I
know.
can't help it. I get distracted by these guys.
Exactly. I know how I say that every time. I'm like trying to keep a train of thought during a live post, and then a cat does something like that, Bogart. Well, good. I'm glad. It's not a Disney story here at TWS. Not every cat merge is successful. It takes work and observation from you, our caretaking staff. So it's great to hear that maybe they're off to a good start, and hopefully there'll be more good things to come soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you, Elyse, and thank you, Bogart, buddy. Oh, is that the stinky stuff down there? He says, yes, it is. It's the stinkiest. It's the stinkiest. And then, obviously, once we find out if Bogart and Brianna are going to have a merge, or if Bogart merges with someone else, Bogart would obviously be leaving our quarantine area and heading out to a full free-roaming habitat, one of our Bobcat habitats. Lots of places to climb, Bogart, lots of places to hide and do all types of hijinks. And in typical fashion, this is just to give you guys an idea of how little the paparazzi matters to cats like Bogart. All it took was for Elyse to walk away, and he's saying, hey, where'd that one awesome lady go? Yeah, she's over there, big guy. But we appreciate you hanging out with us. Let's look at some comments here. Darlene Richards is saying, hope he can't get out under that fence. Rest assured, Darlene, he certainly can't. That fence is not just going to the ground, it's actually built into the ground. So that's to prevent any digging from any of our residents. So that's what we call skirting. And then obviously, too, you can see that the habitat is roofed. So for a cat like Bogart, who can climb, there's this past year. But Miss Brianna has been a very strong-willed lady and has been doing an excellent job living up here in quarantine. She has a little bit of a smaller habitat, and we found that that really benefits her. She was in the habitat that she formerly lived in with Stelter, and we just noticed that she wasn't wanting to shift as easily and coming into her bungalow. But ever since her move up here, life has been pretty good, Brianna. Just a little extra attention for our special girl. And if you guys can see, Brianna's a little pink on the back of her fur there, and that was because of that enrichment that Elyse had placed for their play date. That's just a plant-based paint that we do use with our cats, and so they can roll and rub, and they really do enjoy it. So it looks like Brianna was taking advantage of the enrichment that we used during our merger. So it's great to see that it is effective, isn't it, pretty lady? All right, Bogart and Brianna. You may not be star-crossed lovers yet, but if you want to, big girl, we will allow it. We would encourage it. But nonetheless, the cats here are the boss here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. That's one of my favorite things to say. The cats tell us what's going to go and what's not going to. And right now, it's up to Brianna and Mr. Bogey to let us know. So, hey, thank you again, everyone. Glad we got to check in with two of our newer residents. We had a live post right before this with, oh, look at that spotted belly, goofball. Look at the big stretch. My word, Bogart. If you weren't breaking hearts before, you are breaking them now. Yeah. But we got to see Miss Katniss on a live post right before this, and now we're checking in with Bobcat Bogart. And one more thing right before I left, Mr. Bogart is still looking for some sponsor parents, so if perhaps you're considering of taking one of our residents here under their wing, Mr. Bogart would be a great candidate for that. You can go to our website to find out more about our sponsorship options. Thank you so much again for tuning in today, and we'll see you on a live post tomorrow. Bye, everyone.